Hey everyone, and welcome back. Good evening. Episode 10 of the Collector's Corner. I'm Preston Kuna. Today I'm joined by this lovely disc over here. I grabbed a really cool looking Six Claw off of a collector's page that I'm on from this week. Patrick is working some overtime. If you are just joining us, my brother and I run the Disc Golf Grading Authority. You can go to discgolfgradingauthority.com to learn more, or send us your disc to get a collector's style grade. And we also do this Collector's Corner podcast where we talk all things collectors disc golf discs. Unfortunately, Patrick is working some overtime. He's a firefighter, and we really appreciate that. Thanks to all of our first responders out there. But that 24 on, 48 off schedule does mean that every once in a while he works a double shift and is just out for 48 hours. So you're stuck with me today. But thank you so much for hopping on. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk today about some disc restocks, about some hot collector's discs, the market in general, and I have got a prediction to make for 2024 for possibly the first big FPO disc, in my opinion. So, let's jump on into it. If you're not familiar, we like to keep an eye on the disc golf collector's market by watching the price of the 2015 and 2016 Sextons. They're of a set number. Only crazy people are throwing them, and so their value is pretty indicative of how the market's doing and not just is there a restock, right? If you look at something like Vibram, I bought a bunch of Vibram discs when they did that random restock probably 2 years ago now, and they said they were coming back. Those did not gain a bunch of value, right? And we'll talk a little bit about the TI Lunas that also just got a restock. If you're watching this live, go check out the TI Lunas right now. I believe they're still in stock. So check that out. Let me know in the chat if you do go and look and see if those are in stock still. But 2015, 2016 Sextons. So this week, the prices on the 16s, I think, actually went up a little bit. The cheapest 16s I could find were in the high 200s, low 300s. The 15s, surprisingly, were still in the low 400s, maybe high 300s if you got lucky on a record low bin. But still pretty cheap compared to the 2020, 2021 craze. 2022 was cooling off. Everyone's got COVID brain timelines. Can't believe it was 4 years ago that we had the COVID boom in disc golf, but it's definitely cooled. You're no longer getting $1,500, $2,000 for a 2015. You're just not. But you can now get a pretty affordable 2015 or 2016. Again, a known quantity. So, in my opinion, it's a decent time to be buying if you're trying to flush out or fill out your Sexton collection. Let's move on through the market watch and talk about a little follow-up from our last podcast, the Eagle Envy. So we discussed these last 2 weeks ago in our last episode and gave our feelings on this disc, and was it really a signature disc because it's not a new mold or anything, and maybe that this style of move deserved one, but they are definitely hitting the collector's market well. This one right here was listed on Facebook with bids of over $75, which is pretty dang good. Any disc that'll get to the triple digits in the collector's market, I do expect these to cool off. Every time we see a drop, a new disc, a new collector's disc, you'll see the price. Obviously you start at MSRP and then it jumps up, and then it kind of relaxes back down once people realize that they can probably get them for $40. But we'll see with these Envies. I'm not sure what the quantities released are. It's really more of a disc golf lore thing in most cases. We don't get the actual numbers on the releases. But depending on the release quantities, these prices might stay up. But right now, my market evaluation, not financial advice, but yes, disc golf advice, would not be to buy these for $75 a pop. I do not think that these are going to go much higher than that. I think you can get one for $35 or $40. If you can't find one right now, give it a couple weeks. I bet you'll be able to pick one up. In Discmania news, they've got a couple new releases. The Slightly Stupid and the Dirty Heads, both Rock Band officially licensed discs. This is not a very first, right? We've seen some collaborations in the past. We've seen collaborations way in the past. But recently, Prodigy and the NHL with the NHL teams on those discs. That was a really cool thing. That was a big move for disc golf. And we've seen some other bands collaborate. So the Dirty Heads and Slightly Stupid, both rock bands collaborating with Discmania, getting their licensed merch out here, which I think is awesome. I don't think these discs are particularly collectible yet, but this is a trend that I want to address. Chat, I think there's potential here for kind of a fourth market, if you will. When you look at disc golf collectors' discs, we often talk about scarcity, we'll talk about disc quality, and we'll talk about kind of the mass appeal, right? Which sounds like scarcity and can be correlated to scarcity, but is different. So let's look at something like a 2015 Sexton, which is by far, right, top selling discs. Scarcity. Because it was the first year of Sexton, they weren't established collector's discs yet. It wasn't like something that you knew you should hold on to, so there aren't a ton left, right? That generated scarcity. Disc quality. People swear by the 15s and 16s. Nate himself throws 15s and 16s, says they're the best runs. You'll see that similar kind of value come in with PFN Destroyers, old school Prodigy, right? The Innova made stuff, etc. And then the third one, so we talked scarcity, we talked disc quality, and the third aspect that's really well established is the mass appeal, right? So when those 15 Sextons dropped, Innova was still by far the largest supplier. Now you look at something like the Get Freakies, right? Brody's got a huge disc golf channel, huge appeal, mass. He moves so much plastic. Same thing with Simon. That Simon line drops, huge deal, right? Because Simon has such a big audience. And so even if there's not a huge amount of scarcity and no one's thrown a time lapse before, so who knows if it's going to be good to throw or not, the mass appeal can help boost the collectability of a disc. I think there's some potential here for number 4 to be mass appeal that stems from the licensing and not just the disc company, or even the player, right? So let's pretend that the Dirty Heads or Slightly Stupid were one of the biggest bands in the world. This might be a big deal, right? They could turn this into a collector's disc with some limited releases, or, you know, if they put it on a really popular disc, did some scarce runs, or maybe a numbered run. We've seen those with a lot of Macbeth and Paige Pierce's collector's runs, where they'll send it with a card of a certificate of authenticity, tells you which number out of 100 you have or whatnot. A lot of potential there. I don't think that's going to happen with the Dirty Heads or Slightly Stupid. Chat, if go ahead in the comments if you think I'm wrong, if I just been living under a rock. Are these the biggest bands in the world? Is this like we've got a AC/DC collaborated, or, you know, I bet like Post Malone or something would do it. That'd be hilarious, right? But with the news of Kristin and Porsche, okay, I know this isn't new news. Quick recap in case you're living under a rock. Kristin Tattar, best FPO player in the world right now. We're not getting into Kristin versus Paige right now, but right now, Kristin, number 1, no debate. Just won all of the majors, Grand Slam, big deal. Estonia's like golden girl, athlete of the year for Estonia. All of its accolades, Nike Estonia, all these big sponsors. Well, Porsche Estonia is now an official sponsor of Kristin Tattar. Really cool. She has a Porsche that she gets to drive when she's in Estonia that has her name on it, and it's just awesome, right? This is super cool for the sport of disc golf. Great for Kristin. Really fits her brand. Super, super great. Great news. How does this affect the collector's market? This is a collector's market move potential. This is a collaboration that has an opportunity to reach a mass market. Porsche, much more widely known than a rock band or an NHL team, right? Given that I'm coming at this from a United States of America perspective, the NHL is not huge. If we had gotten NFL licensed discs, might have gone crazy, right? But this, in my opinion, has the potential to create kind of this fourth line of collector's discs. In this picture, Kristin is holding one of her Grand Slam Memorial Mystery Box discs, which is awesome. Was a really cool release. Really neat for the collector's market. One of those kind of bulk packs, a lot like the Greek Gods from Macbeth, where you get 5 or 6 discs, but they're limited and you can't get them any other way. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested. I know I would, in a Kristin Tattar Porsche branded, officially licensed disc. The retail price could be much higher, right? You're starting to tie it in with a luxury brand like Porsche. The collectability could be there. The scarcity could be there. There's some really neat potential, right? You can start to tie those two together. Discs, for whatever reason, really like the same style of high-end automotives, right? We're talking about shiny paints and glitter paints and like really nice epoxy looking coated glossy niceness, right? That foil wrapped kind of, it's very similar. Not like a wood grain kind of thing, right? It's different. It's very metallic and modern and sleek. So let me know if you think I'm way off base or if you agree. Do you think we'll see a 2024 this collab go the other way? So we've got a Porsche with Kristin's name on it. Can we get a disc with Porsche's name on it? I'm here for it. I think it'd be awesome. I'll keep an eye out. And even if we don't, I mean, to be completely frank, I don't frequently check the Lat64 collectors groups, the Lat64 collectors like pages on their website. There aren't a lot of Lat64 discs that I collect. Patrick and I both love the Trident. Is an out of production disc that just fits that quality of disc slot and scarcity. They're hard to get, so they're like $60-$70 a pop. But let me know. Speaking of Europeans, in the collector scene, Niklas Antila made it onto Discmania's highest team for the season, and they released a disc for it, which is awesome. I talked about this last year, probably episode 2 or 3 of the Collector's Corner, discussing Gannon Buhr and his Rookie of the Year disc. I've got the Rookie of the Year disc for Gannon Buhr. I think he's got a lot of potential. Similarly, Niklas is one of, if not the best European disc golfer that still plays from Europe. Okay, don't come at me in the comments with the Simon Lizotte stuff. I know he's still European. Yes, he's better than Niklas at the moment and has many more wins. I get that. But for someone still primarily playing out of Europe, Niklas has a different audience appeal right now. He's still very young in his career and in real life. So I think there's potential here, just like with the Gannon Buhr Rookie of the Year disc. When we look at those same tenets of collectability, this disc has the opportunity to have a high level of scarcity, right? This is a one-time disc. They aren't next year, right? If he's still on the top tier Discmania team, it's not news. It doesn't get a disc, right? He'll have a Tour Series disc, but it will no longer be the commemorative congrats for making it onto like the top tier of Team Discmania disc. It's a neat one-off, kind of like a rookie season disc, that if he pops off and does really well and gains a lot of popularity and continues on this path that he's pretty well on, he's doing really well. If he can continue on in that path and gain more popularity and take some wins down, there's some potential for this disc to become just a cool piece of disc golf history, which isn't currently a large tenet of disc golf collectability, but I think that's because disc golf's so new. History doesn't feel old yet. History doesn't always mean scarcity. You can have some old disc golf discs, and the disc quality might not be there. The scarcity might not even be there, right? But we're, in my opinion, kind of at a sweet spot. Disc technology is good enough now that I don't think we're going to see leaps and bounds, right? I just finished watching the Jomez release of the last year's distance competition. I don't think the distance is moving a lot more than it already is. All right, we see people throw in 5, 6, almost 700 feet in these distance throwing competitions. I don't think in 5 years we're going to have discs that are letting us throw 800, 900 feet. And by us, of course, I don't mean you and I, unfortunately. Anywho, let me know if you agree. Patrick's not here, so Chad, it's just me and you tonight. Let me know in the comments. Please give me some feedback. Do you think this Nicholas Antela disc is something? Are you going to pick one up? You going to stick it on a shelf and root for Nicholas this season? I think it's a cool way to kind of buy into his journey and support him, of course, and also, get some personal investment in watching him throughout the season, right? If he does well, if he really kicks some butt this season, takes down 1, 2, if he took down 3 wins, that'd be wild, right? You could start this cool collection of all the Nicholas discs from, well, not all of them, but from when he makes this top tier team, and starts to pick up these wins, you could start to have one, because they'll probably drop commemorating any wins that he gets this year. All right, so those are the Discmania and the European and the MVP. Lots of these other brands. I'm glad we get to talk a little bit more about them. It's not Discraft, but right now is Discraft. This dropped today. If you missed out on the first run of Titanium Paul Macbeth releases, they were in stock. Let me do a quick check. Looks like they are still in stock. You can even grab some Titanium Lunas. This goes back to what I was talking about with the Envies. Last week we were seeing these Lunas resell for double or triple retail, and now you can grab them at retail again, right? These weren't put forth as going to be a super collected, right? They're not certificate of authenticity discs. Paul Macbeth is usually pretty straightforward about collector's discs, which I appreciate. And so it wasn't unreasonable to expect that there would be another run. I am surprised that the Lunas are still in stock. Looks like the Luna market got saturated on the last release. They even sent out an email blast, which is how I found out about this one in time. Just letting you know that they were restocking. So those first ones, the Luna sold out in the first day. We'll keep an eye on these ones. But if you were hoping to get some Titanium Discraft from Paul Macbeth's line, this is your chance. Go ahead and pick it up. That is the market watch for the last 2 weeks, chat. If there's a disc release that you're really passionate about and you wish we would have covered, throw it in the comments. Let's chat about it down there. Maybe if it was big enough, maybe we'll talk about it in 2 weeks from now. I'm always pleasantly surprised. Every 2 weeks, there seems to be at least a couple discs that have dropped or newly released. Let us know what you're thinking about the new releases, and let me know in the comments below if you would like us to talk about a specific type of disc. I think our next episode will probably be a specialty episode where we dive deep into the history, the lore, and the collectability of a single disc. So let us know in the comments which one you would prefer. And good luck out there. If you are hunting any drops this week, I hope your PayPal processes quickly and your mail